I can't believe I'm about to ask this question, but is Robert Pattinson the best Batman ever? I'm genuinely surprised by my own answer, and I'm not sure it's right. I'm hoping I'm not prisoner of the moment, but I saw the Batman as a Batman fan. Check them out. I absolutely love the movie. I'm gonna go into the details about my reaction, how I feel. Let's just get right into it. First of all, no spoilers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my first thoughts. It's going to be like I guess, a shorter version, and then I'm going to give you like the longer version that's going to have spoilers for those of you who have already seen the movie. I've already started this video over because I said something that was a spoiler, and I didn't want to have any parts of that. I hate spoiling movies for people. I hate when people spoil movies for me. Not gonna do it. So there's gonna be the shorter version, just giving you how I feel about the movie, overall thoughts, and then the video. There will be a link below that will have the full, like, just all of my thoughts. Spoilers be damned at that point. So that the spoilers part won't even be in this video. I'm gonna make it an unlisted video that you have to go click the link, so you can't even accidentally get the spoilers. Okay, so just a heads up. Now, the Batman. I'm giving it like an 8 out of 10, and just for like perspective, I give the Dark Knight. I give the Dark Knight itself, the second Batman movie from the Nolan trilogy, from the Dark Knight trilogy. The second one, I give that like a 9.5. That's like one of the closest to perfect movies for me. In fact, let's go to 9 because some parts of it don't hold up anymore. Batman Begins, I give also an 8 out of 10. Dark Knight Rises, I would give that like a 7. So like, just so you have a perspective on, or just so you know how I'm rating things, I give the Batman, I give it an 8. I think it's really, really good, and I'm trying to temper a bit my excitement for it because I went into it very nervous. If you saw the video that I did beforehand, going into it, I shot that video like 3 or 4 times because I was so anxious and jittery that I couldn't make a video. I really couldn't. So I have a lot to say about the movie itself. So let's just stick to the non-spoiler stuff at first. I think it's very well done, very well shot. It gives the feel of a low-budget student film, but in a good way. You have a narration from Batman slash Bruce Wayne throughout the movie, which gives you a more intimate feel, like you're almost inside of his thoughts. And the actual like composition of itself is too long in my view, but I still enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Like, it's 3 hours, and that's a bit much. They probably could have cut that down to like 2:15 or something, but I'm going to the movies because I'm going to the movies. You know what I mean? I'm not in any rush to hurry up and see the movie. So I sat back, put my phone away, absolutely enjoyed it. So from that perspective, it was good. The actual Batman himself, it's a very different style of Batman, and I like that they made him different. And it's not this, but it's kind of like what happened with the Joker. When you go from the Tim Burton Joker to the Heath Ledger Joker to the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, we're just going to skip the Jared Leto Joker real quick. When they all try to give like a different perspective of what the Joker was, and all of them were amazing for what they were doing. Usually, Batman is already a fully formed character, meaning like you know what he is, what he's about. He knows and he understands what he is and what he's about. This Batman does not do that. This Batman is very much the feel of Batman Year One, if you've read those comic books or seen that animated movie, in the sense of Batman himself is still trying to figure things out, whether he knows he's trying to figure things out or not. He's very immature in terms of just his attitude towards being Batman. In terms of his fighting style, he's very immature. He's got this like reckless arrogance or apathy towards his own life that you see come out immediately in his fighting style. There's a hidden rage where he, at times, it feels like he has to remind himself not to go too far when he's fighting so he doesn't kill somebody. So from that perspective, oh, and also one switch up that they did with Bruce Wayne himself. Bruce Wayne was always the billionaire playboy, orphan celebrity, blah, 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 blah. And they switched that up, which made sense to me because, yeah, you can have that version of it, but there's also a version where a child saw his parents get murdered, and so he becomes a rich recluse who nobody has seen or talked to in years because he's just hidden away in his mansion and depressed. So that actually in the movie becomes a theme and opens up a whole nother can of worms that kind of shines a mirror on society, which I will get into when I go into the spoiler section. But from that perspective, that kind of Batman, the kind of Batman that isn't fully formed yet, the kind of Batman who's still trying to figure out who he is, and he doesn't even realize that he's figuring out who he is as he goes along this path. He's very much in the beginning of his career, like it's in the first 2 years, so he doesn't have all the polished equipment and the polished fighting techniques. He's still figuring things out, and I really, really like that as an origin story. You don't need to go back into, everybody knows how his parents dies. Everybody knows how that goes. This origin story is, how is he becoming Batman? Catwoman herself, I went in with a very negative attitude, and towards the end of it, I was like, I'm not being fair. Zoe Kravitz did a very, very good job as Catwoman. I wasn't fair in the beginning when like evaluating her, just because I was looking for a fully formed Catwoman already in terms of mentality and how she acted and how she reacted, and that was not fair because I was fully ready to accept Batman as soon as they did it the way that they did it, and I recognized it from like the first action scene. I was like, oh, okay, so this is something different. He isn't what he is later on in life. This is early in his career, so let me take that mentality. I didn't do the same thing with Catwoman. Once I got my mind adjusted around the fact that this is also an immature Catwoman. She hasn't fully formed as who she is as a villain or hero or whatever she's going to be, the constant anti-hero. She hasn't fully formed that yet. So when I take that into account, then I think that Zoe Kravitz did a really good job as Catwoman. Is she my favorite? Well, I don't know if Robert Pattinson's my favorite Batman yet. We'll get into that in a second. Now, the villains themselves, I don't want to go too much into them just because there are some things that I could spoil. However, I will say they did a great job. I did enjoy the Penguin. I did enjoy the Riddler a little bit later on. However, I like the idea that the Riddler as the villain wasn't always present. He was kind of omnipresent through the riddles and the ciphers and stuff that had to be figured out. So that was more the character of the Riddler than the actual Riddler himself. But then later on in the movie, the Riddler himself really does get a chance to shine. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. I don't want to go too far into that. And now, is Robert Pattinson the best Batman ever? Short answer, no. But I did do a ranking, and actually I asked on my YouTube channel, like, who was going to be the best Batman? Live action Batman. I'm not counting Kevin Conroy because we all know he's the Batman. But who's the best Batman? And I left out Adam West because that's kind of not fair. Adam West, the GOAT, everybody know it. So I put in Robert Pattinson, Ben Affleck, Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, and Val Kilmer. George Clooney we left off because we know why we left him off, right? That doesn't need to be explained. All right, so basically it's a lot closer than I thought it would be, and it gave me a little bit of hope. So Robert Pattinson comes in at 22%. He came in third. You have Christian Bale coming in at number one at 36%, which I basically expected. Ben Affleck coming in at 30%, which I did not expect. Then Michael Keaton 9%, Val Kilmer 3%. I did not expect Val Kilmer to get 3%, to be quite frank with you. But anyway, hey, to each their own, right? So basically, and then I'm going to go ahead and reply to this comment from Tootie-tron. I do DC Legends videos, so if you don't know, DC Legends is a mobile game. I do content for that. Subscribe. Check those videos out as well. Tootie-tron is a fellow content creator for DC Legends. He has an awesome channel as well. If you haven't checked him out, go check him out. And he said that Pattinson acted as if the poor were poor due to their own choices. He wasn't Batman to help the helpless. He was Batman to seek vengeance. This isn't very Bruce Wayne. I am going to get into that comment in the spoiler section. I really want to jump on that comment because I really want to get into that comment, and I wish I had like 2D-tron's number just so I could call and be like, what the? So I'm going to get into that in the spoiler section. I don't want to go too much into it. So now, where would I rank? Now, the votes are clear. Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, Robert Pattinson, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, in that order. So now, where would I rank Robert Pattinson? 1, I came up in the time of the Tim Burton Batman movies. So Michael Keaton, I have to try to like remove myself a little bit because I still have the image of going with my mom to, my mom was a college student at Auburn University, and they had like these free movies that they would show in one of the halls that I don't think even exists at Auburn anymore. Had like the little wooden chairs that would fold out for the students to go see the movies for free. She took me there. I sat down. I watched the Batman. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when I was 6 years old, 7 years old, and the Batman animated series came out. I was at my grandmother's house. I spent the night. That morning, I woke up. It was Catwoman versus the Red Cat. That whole series, I watched it on a gigantic floor model wooden television, like tube television, not flat. Like I'm in this, you know what I mean? And so Michael Keaton, even though I know that's different, Kevin Conroy for the Batman animated series, which is why he's the real Batman. I know Michael Keaton has a different place for me than others, and so I have to kind of like temper my own bias. Now, for me, I think Ben Affleck was the best Batman, and that hurts my heart to say because I do not like Ben Affleck. I have nothing like really against him, but I'm definitely not a fan, you know what I'm saying? And so Ben Affleck was the victim of being a really good Batman, a very well-designed Batman, and giving you exactly what Batman needed in a crappy setup with a crappy series with just a bunch of production politics that ruined all of the DCEU. It showed itself. He was good in Batman versus Superman, despite the fact that that movie was garbage. And honestly, it wasn't really garbage. It was just that one moment. And you know what? I'll go into that one moment in the spoiler section so I can keep this video kind of tight. But like that one moment ruined the whole movie for me. And I think all of you guys know what I'm talking about. Christian Bale, I always thought was a little bit overrated. And it's because I don't like his face in The Mask. Number one, he kind of has duck lips. Number two, they made him do that voice thing, and that's not his fault. They told him to alter his voice. Ben Affleck's Batman, part of it was better just because he had a voice modulator in his suit. That's what Batman would have done if he's trying to disguise his voice, not give a gruffy voice like this. A lot of the stuff that happened in the movies just didn't kind of jive with Batman himself. Although, as I went back and tried to reflect on it, Christian Bale did do a good job, especially for what he was asked to do. So I'm torn between Christian Bale and Robert Pattinson being the second best Batman in my view. The reason being is that Robert Pattinson, for what he, and this is why I kind of double check on what I was thinking about Christian Bale. Christian Bale, what he was asked to do, he did it. It's just that he was surrounded by Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine, and it's kind of hard for you to outact those dudes. But he did hold his own. Robert Pattinson was asked to do a completely different Batman, and the way that he did it was absolutely incredible, captivating, and I really wanted to know. It really gave Batman 3 dimensions. Whereas for like the Ben Affleck version, the Christian Bale version, the Michael Keaton, the Val Kilmer, all up, even the George Clooney version. It just feels bad saying that. He was already a fully formed Batman. You knew who he was. He had his own morals and ethics, and he was already there. With Robert Pattinson, he was asked to be a Batman who's developing all that stuff and hasn't quite gotten there yet, and he did an amazing job. So in my view, Ben Affleck is 1, Robert Pattinson is 2, Christian Bale and Michael Keaton, just because I was also a gigantic Tim Burton fan. I'm going to let them tie basically for 3rd. Val Kilmer didn't do a bad job. That movie was just garbage, and he should have never been picked in the first place. And then we already know who's down at the bottom. So that would be my view, and I'm kind of feeling like, am I being prisoner of the moment? I want to see Batman again, so I'm gonna go see it again just to be sure, like for my own edification, that I'm not like overstating how good it was or how good of a job he did. But he did do an amazing job, so give him all the credit in the world of that. Now, I've run out of stuff that I can say about the movie that won't spoil it, so I'm gonna cut the non-spoiler part off here. So this is going to be the end of that video. If you want the spoiler version where I'm just going into everything that I think about the movie, I'm going to put a link in the description below. Follow that link, and now I'm about to just go off on everything that I want to talk about from the movie. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.